AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday.
Hey, what's going on? Ramley, Ryan Dowd here. Before we get to the show, got to tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper, #1 sports app right now, and not just for season-long fantasy. They've got live score updates. They've got a chat you can communicate with other users. Plus, the best part is the daily fantasy feature, which is just like a live pick'em. Just choose 2 to 8 players across any sport. Choose more or less, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit right now, use our promo code. You see it right down there, Rams LAFB, all one word. They're going to give you a match bonus up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free on top of that to play with. If you only want to deposit 10, they'll match you that 10. You're starting at 20. But wait, right now, any new users automatically get a $20 free entry to play with, no deposit required. However, you can stack that bonus, take that 20, go deposit whatever you choose up to 100 with that promo code RAMSLAFB, and they'll match you that. So now you've got extra free money to go play with. So check it out today. Download the Sleeper app. Tell them the guys over at the Rams LAFB sent you. Now, let's get on to the show.
What is up, Los Angeles, and welcome back to your Rams LAFB show. I am your host, Ryan Anderson, joined as always on Wednesdays by the wonderful Erin Coscarelli, live from Rams HQ on what I've learned is on Owensmouth Road, which is a weird name for a road. Anyway, Erin, how we doing? Welcome back.
Interesting observations being made by one Ryan Anderson. Do you think it's just someone's last name? What are you thinking? It's like the city of the person who created this, last name of the city, whoever created this location?
I have, LA is a mixed bag of weird names, lots of roads for sure. Maybe there's got to be a Mr. Owensmouth out there somewhere.
Potentially. Yeah. I would imagine. But yes, that is the destination that takes me about an hour to drive. Mostly when I'm going back home, the rush hour traffic, I tweeted something out. I'm like, I'm always so hopeful our LA traffic relationship will change, please. But probably not going to happen today because I'm getting out late. They keep pushing media availability a little bit later. It really is becoming more of just a sort of a walkthrough, these practices for the Rams, and the media goes and takes a little bit of footage. I did not do that today. I've been holed up in my phone booth, my Rams phone booth, as I normally am when I come here on Wednesdays.
Yeah, they're keeping you away from it. Yeah, so a walkthrough. Not a lot of injury news to talk about because it was a walkthrough. It was all kind of estimated in terms of who was in and who was out and what their participation was, but Darious Williams back to full practice. Byron Young limited with a knee injury, and the Davante Adams with a bit of a hamstring did not practice today. Kind of interesting though, Tutu Atwell, it's announced that he's going to rejoin the active roster. I put it out there on Twitter, more or less than 1.5 targets in the upcoming Detroit Lions game. We'll see what his role will be on this team, but no real clarity on that is kind of what I'm hearing, right?
No, that didn't get asked, and we've talked about it last week where, the Rams had considerable expectations based on how much they're paying Tutu. So nothing has come out, wasn't really asked about it, didn't expand on it. So we shall see, and who knows, we are in week 15. There's couple more weeks left of the regular season, but I think a lot of people will be curious to see what his role is, especially coming out of a game where 13 personnel was used so much, and Davante is a assassin in the red zone. You got Puka making all kinds of, ninja-like catches. So where is the room for Tutu? I think and even the run game we talked about today with Coach, just watching Blake Corum's development and how he's loved watching him. The goal, as you and I have spoke about giving Kyron some fresh legs potentially heading into the postseason, and that's kind of why they've been working in Blake, who's performed admirably considering he really didn't get a lot of love or action or game time in his rookie year.
Yeah, I actually did some looking into the run game, and Mike LaFleur's influence on the game plan last week had a lot to do with why they kept running it. And I believe it was Stafford that basically said Arizona wanted to trot out smaller bodies matching up against our 13 personnel. So we just thought, let's keep running the ball. And it was very effective. Blake Corum breaking that big, longest scoring running touchdown for the Rams this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that continues to shape and shift heading into the playoffs. And if McVay and LaFleur can work together on it, I think it's working out really well. Obviously a big test going up against the Detroit Lions in that way. But Davante Adams, not practicing but making news. What's the scuttle going on with Davante today?
It was a really interesting question. I think a lot of people weren't expecting him to be so candid, but he was asked earlier on a Rams podcast if Stafford retired, what that meant for him. And he said, if Stafford retires, I'm hanging it up. And so that question was asked or posed at how serious was he when he said that. And, he said it in a joking way. I actually posted the soundbite on social. And, he got a few laughs from the media because you could tell he was kind of joking, but you can tell he's also delivering truth bombs. And I think it kind of leaves a lot of questions for us when you hear an answer like that coming out of Davante, meaning, okay, so if Stafford retires, which is seemingly to suggest you don't want him to retire, then does that mean you would sign up for the Rams again another year? And then that would mean Stafford would sign up for another year. Both of those guys, could retire at any moment. Davante being 32, 33. How much does he have left in him? Would he take a pay cut? We've talked about this very thing. How would they keep everybody together? But, what was interesting was my question right before that got asked was pulse check what this experience has been for you now that we are entering week 15. And, coming into week 1, he said, and it's a quote that gets discussed a lot because it kind of gets referenced, no dark cloud over the building. And that seems to be the echoing sentiment from all the players here, certainly this year. And he just said it's been so fun being a part of a fun operation. And so you almost kind of have to wonder that in the event Davante decides to keep playing, he may, if we're just going to read between the tea leaves, he may just decide, coerce Stafford to stay. He'll take a pay cut. And look, who knows, But that was kind of the gist of the soundbite when he was getting kind of prodded about what he said on the podcast, how serious he really was. And it really seemed like at this stage of the game, Davante kind of seemed like he meant what he said, meaning he loves playing with Stafford. Obviously, it's working out for them. And, it does seem kind of like the perfect place for him to retire eventually. He's got McVay. He's got, obviously, a really great relationship seemingly with Puka. So
drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that'll change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Yeah. It's really compelling and interesting. And I forgot to mention in that first segment talking about the Tutu Atwell and 13 personnel, Konate Mumfield actually playing the most snaps as that lone wide receiver in the 13 personnel. He's played 99 snaps there, much more than anybody else. I just wanted to drop that in there. Have a whole article up on it at the LAFBnetwork.com. But, Davante, interesting guy with the quarterbacks. Obviously, really attached to Aaron Rodgers, right. Left Green Bay to go play with his Fresno State quarterback, Derek Carr. I always want to say David. Derek Carr. And then went back to play with Rodgers with the Jets when the Derek Carr situation fell apart. So he seems like he's really, really attaching himself to quarterbacks, and he's got a good one. I mean, obviously, Stafford's playing lights out, but even Stafford can't avoid the conversation about retirement. He was on the Rich Eisen show. Rich Eisen asked about retirement. He was non-committal, which I think is probably a negotiating stand anyway. You got to be able to hold that chip in your hand and say, "Hey, I'll just walk away, maybe." But he didn't say, "Yeah, I'm back next year." He's like, "I'm gonna assess once this year is over, and we'll get back to you on that." Basically, so Rams fans, we have nothing good to report in terms of the future there. But then you got Trevor Sikkema from PFF mock drafting a big trade up for the Rams, going to get Fernando Mendoza in the 2026 draft. So, I mean, the guy's going to retire eventually. It is inevitable. And they are so well positioned to go get a quarterback in the next draft. I mean, it's hard to argue, that they shouldn't do that, but lots of balls in the air and lots of dynamics. It's really always fascinating when it comes to this position and this team. Speaking of Stafford, he talked a bit about his relationship with Jared Goff. Yeah. Obviously the ties that bind those two have been well discussed, but what did he have to say?
Yeah. Gary Klein of the LA Times asked him, he said, when that trade happened, 2020, 21. Well, Gary said 2020, I guess, like heading into the season, right? Because then that season, 21 season, Super Bowl, and things seemed to line up, and it all made sense. But I think Gary's point in asking, what's his relationship? Does he keep track of Jared? Obviously, and everyone seems to agree, the trade kind of worked out for everybody. Although I feel like Stafford's just a much happier person not having to live in Detroit, and he gets to work with McVay, and he gets to come in with a tan as much as he wants, not living in Detroit. Kidding aside, I think Stafford probably got the better end of that trade and end of that deal, obviously. Mm-hmm. And Gary was just asking, post game, do you guys have a conversation? What has that been like? I think they played now 4 times since that trade happened, right? I'm trying to think.
Definitely at least 3.
Yeah. Okay. Well, somebody said 4 today. I'm not doing the fact checking. I'm assuming media is understanding all of those things before they ask the question. And, Stafford says, look, I pay attention to all the quarterbacks. I'm not necessarily keying in on Jared. We have a relationship. That trade, that move was not easy for anybody going, and it's just so interesting when you think about that, that that we see Jared Goff as much as we did, and he was the first round draft selection by the Rams when the Rams first came here in 2016. But was that when Jared was drafted, or was he drafted 2015? He was drafted 2016.
Drafted in 2016. Yeah.
He was drafted in 2016. And it was just like such high expectations, such high hopes. And Stafford just kind of, humbly gave him credit, respects Jared Goff immensely. But what was really interesting was when McVay took the podium at the very end. Normally McVay goes first. Stafford went first today. Then it was Davante, and then McVay, rounded out the top three, people at the podium for Wednesday's practice. He seemed to assert that he did not feel like he had handled that situation as good as he wanted to, because he would say, I had a lot to learn in that moment. But it almost seemed like he kind of got a little emotional about when he would talk about Jared, just saying how he loves him. He's married now. I think he has a daughter, and he just is really happy to see his success. And you could just tell that, and he said he treats him with a lot of grace. So if you're really going to try to read between the tea leaves, and I am not speaking on behalf of anybody, but it just seems like, after a couple of years of distance between how all that went down, McVay has seemingly evaluated it with a bit more of a tenderness and an emotional sensitivity about his relationship and the kind of love that he had and has for Jared Goff. So it's interesting. You liken it to like, your ex. Did your ex have a glow up? Are they looking a little bit better, a little bit more tan, or are they really missing you?
Yeah, well, in the ex's analogy is really apt because sometimes you look back at previous relationships and say, I should have treated that person better. It may not have worked out, but and with McVay, he so obviously cares about the players on his roster, like in a phony way, in a very like heartfelt and not just paying lip service, but like taking care. Like he really likes taking care of people. And I think, he's obviously a very ambitious guy. He wouldn't be the youngest coach, in the modern NFL era to get the job if he wasn't ambitious. And sometimes when you're ambitious, you step on people's toes. You don't take feelings into consideration. You want to move fast.
Right. And you're so young, that was the other thing in 2021, that was what, 4-ish years ago, that means he would have been 35, right? 34. I mean, that's young. That's young to be a manager of a big time operation in charge of a lot of moving parts and feeling stress. I'm not trying to defend anybody's decisions, but I think the best thing is what you just said, having the ability to give it another thought about it. Where could I improve, or what could I have done differently? And it seemed like that.
Yeah, for sure. And he's expressed, regret about the situation in the past. And Jared Goff, he can't escape it either. I mean, he was, I just saw earlier today, he was asked about, what's it going to be like facing your previous team. And he was like, each time I play him, the sting kind of comes off a little bit more. And, he pointed out, like, I've been in Detroit longer than I was ever in LA. Basically that's his home. And he was able to find some, I don't know what the word is, but like we've talked about a lot of times about how the Rams want, their players to know that they're believed in. Dan Campbell believes in this guy. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, it worked out really great for all parties considering, and the Rams got a Super Bowl out of the situation. And, It's been a really fun rivalry watching these two franchises go back and forth over those intervening years, and it created this moment. This trade actually created that rivalry in a way. So we're all the better for it. I think everybody's benefiting from the trade, I guess.
Yeah, but it's an interesting modern day sort of moment, if you will, because I think younger people want to have something to root for, whether they, decide who they think is the underdog or not the underdog. And I remember when Jared Goff was getting drafted by the Rams, I covered him in Cal. When I was up in the Bay Area, I covered him at Cal, and I had done interviews with him, and he was just so shy. Right. And so for me, I'm like, oh, I thought, he needs to have gusto and be like brazen. And then you start, obviously, you see him play, and he's somehow figured it out. He didn't need to have it. Or maybe he has it and it's just different than what I were to perceive as my prototypical type personality, because I think even Stafford's quite humble and quiet, and there's not some like massive bravado with both of these personalities. And even McVay was talking about that. So, it's just interesting. It's another layer of adding intrigue to a storyline that takes itself not just about the football field, but how do you, where can we insert ourselves as humans, whether it's we've been overlooked or underrated, or someone, didn't believe in us, or they did believe in us, what all of that means. And so, that's what I love the most. So.
Oh yeah. I always try to create analogies for like the normal human world and then like the weird football world. Like, could you imagine if trades were just a normal thing in businesses and in work life, where it's like you're like, I'm getting traded to another, automotive company in Singapore, and for what compensation?
Yeah, they're bringing in Betty. Betty's coming in from Indonesia, and it's like, what is going on here? It kind of does happen. It's like, I guess it happens in romantic relationships, right? Where like, people get traded in and traded out.
Yeah,
all the time.
I'm gonna get traded in for a younger model one of these days.
I mean, that's always like it happens in the NFL all the time.
100%. And to bring it all home, we've talked about the stress of a head coaching job.
Oh,
there's been a weird situation that we've been tracking with Sean McVay, kind of on-field stress, somewhat off-field stress. He's been ill, and he's been sharing maybe some details about his illness. And you got to bear the brunt of one of those updates. What is going on with this illness?
He had a great attitude about it. So Gary Klein, who I try to sit next to because he's so brilliant, when he's the best, and he's just like a wonderful mentor, and he's very. Oh, am I muted? Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
He's a wonderful mentor in always letting you in on his whys, which I appreciate. So he asked the question, hey, so we talked about it on Friday, LaFleur, if given the opportunity, because so much attention goes to Chris Shula getting this head coaching opportunity. With Shula not discussed, that was Gary's question on Friday. Do you think he's capable of being a head coach in the NFL right now? And would you be open or comfortable if he were to ever call plays in your system? And he said, oh my God, of course. Absolutely. I think he's great. I could totally see him taking a head coaching position, and he would be amazing and break my heart, kind of what he said about Shula. But then Gary followed up like, hey, did he end up calling because you were not feeling well? And there was this weird story that leaked or came out that you didn't travel with the team, which is true. He didn't travel with the team. I was so ready to just follow up with what did you have? But I didn't. But he did go on to explain, there were plays LaFleur needed to insert himself potentially because McVay did not know if in the middle of the game he was going to need to like use the bathroom. And, we all had a good chuckle because what did that mean? We didn't really want to we didn't want to impose on his privacy.
There's only a couple of things you need a bathroom for. We can narrow it down pretty quickly.
Yeah, you can imagine. But he had a great attitude about it. And he was just basically suggesting that he was so sick, he needed to have all the backup plans in place should he have to, exit the premises. But thank God he held up. He was good. But yes, there were some moments where LaFleur was prepped in advance that he may have needed to insert himself because Coach McVay may not have been available because he wasn't feeling so well.
Well, he's worked so hard building this infrastructure, and now it's paid off in the moments. He said that he got it he blamed it on Jordan, his baby boy.
Yeah.
He blamed it on Jordan that he got that both he and his wife got sick. And she's expecting another child, I recently learned.
I think it's another boy. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it was supposedly a little something. We're imagining maybe it was the flu, I guess. Because I thought when I first heard him talk, I'm like, oh, did he have like food poisoning? Because he was really emphasizing he was not going to maybe make it in the middle of the game, or that there might have been a chance of that. So that's why McFleur was very much in the ready should he need to be in the driver's seat, because McVay was just not feeling well. So yeah, I think it was the flu or something that, his kid gave him. But good news, he's good. He seemed great today. Sure they got him, back up and running because, the Rams, the medical staff is top notch here. So
that's for sure. What's the Airstream thing that McVay or Stafford went into?
Like the immortal thing?
Immortal, yeah. Maybe there was some special flu treatments in the immortal chamber, or just Gatorade. I don't know.
Right, a lot of Gatorade, a lot of electrolytes.
Yeah,
maybe
saltines.
I would have some saltines. Can you imagine? And this was the other thing that was just so funny not funny, but if you think about when we first started, we were looking at that immortal chamber. It looked. Andrew Whitworth came on and I interviewed him, and he said it looks like a big ass beer can, a mobile beer can. And it's like, here we are, week 15. The Rams are 10-3 with the 1 seed.
MVP caliber quarterback, Super Bowl caliber roster.
What is the biggest takeaway for you? Never give up. What's the thing we're thinking here? Never give up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Number.
Real football doesn't start until after Thanksgiving. Somebody said it. Maybe Belichick said that.
Or we should start our own immortal chamber. Literally, how much good press did that thing get? After that big beer can giant mobile device showed up at practice.
Yeah, I think that
okay.
I think Adam Grossbard deserves a cut of their profits, whatever they've increased their profits. He should get a little cash, I think, for his social media presence.
Yeah.
Anyhow, all of that and more happened out there at Rams HQ, and we got Erin Coscarelli on the case for us each and every week. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow with John Ledyard. I know him from the Audibles and Analytics podcast, as well as the Read Optional podcast with Oliver Connolly, breaking down and previewing the Detroit Lions game. Huge game. I only realized it today because I don't like getting too far ahead of myself. Quick turnaround, Thursday night football to play the Seattle Seahawks in week 16. Right.
Yeah. Oh, it's a Thursday night game.
Yeah. So
and then I wonder. Well, yeah. So and then week 16 it's Atlanta, and then 17 they close out against Arizona again, right?
Well, 18, yeah.
God, yeah. It goes Seattle. They're on the road to Atlanta, and then Arizona at home.
Yeah.
Right. 3 more weeks. 3 more. Well, after this week.
Yeah.
Math is not my forte.
That's why we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. But guys, appreciate you tuning in as always. Appreciate you guys, and we will see you tomorrow with John Ledyard.
Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.